Welcome back to the channel. Here you'll find the fastest updates on breaking news, shocking secrets, and dramatic predictions for times. The young and the restless. Who will betray whom? What secrets are about to be revealed? And what horrific tragedy awaits the characters in Genoa City? Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us to discover the unmissable developments right now. Welcome back to our channel, your ultimate destination for all the thrilling updates and deep psychological dives into the lives of your favorite Genoa City residents. Today is a spectacular day to unravel the tangled webs of deception, passion, and heartbreak that continue to keep us all entirely captivated. The emotional stakes have never been higher, so let us dive straight into the intense drama unfolding this week. The atmosphere inside the Genoa City Athletic Club on Thursday, July 30, crackles with a dangerous, intoxicating energy as Phyllis Summers orchestrates a highly illegal and profoundly reckless act of defiance. The heavy, metallic clank of Victor Newman's electronic ankle monitor hitting the floor echoes through the room like a gunshot, signaling the absolute severing of the billionaire's oppressive control over Phyllis, trembling with a potent mixture of adrenaline and misguided triumph, views this moment not as the unleashing of a known predator, but as a monumental victory against the systemic forces that have constantly sought to keep her down. She revels in the sheer audacity of their technical sabotage, gazing at the discarded piece of surveillance equipment as if it were a conquered enemy. In her deeply distorted reality, she has just liberated a misunderstood soul, effectively communicating to Matt that his invisible chains have been permanently shattered and that he is now completely untethered from the suffocating grip of his past transgression. The immediate aftermath of this technological prison break transitions seamlessly into a lavish, almost manic celebration of their shared rebellion. Champagne flows freely, the effervescent bubbles mirroring the chaotic, blinding euphoria clouding Phyllis's usually sharp judgment. She raises her glass to toast their newly forged future, her eyes entirely alight with a desperate, consuming affection that willfully ignores the catastrophic collateral damage of her choices. She has alienated her children, Daniel and Summer, and invited the wrath of the entire Newman empire, yet in this isolated bubble of intoxicating defiance, none of that matters. Phyllis is entirely consumed by the illusion of Matt's redemption, viewing his newfound liberty as the ultimate testament to her unwavering loyalty and her unparalleled ability to outsmart the most powerful men in the city. As the celebratory adrenaline inevitably morphs into raw physical passion, the heavy atmosphere of the room shifts into an intense, suffocating. The boundaries between savior and sinner dissolve completely as they surrender to the overwhelming magnetism that has been simmering beneath the surface of their dangerous alliance. However, beneath the surface of this passionate physical union, a dark and insidious psychological trap is being meticulously set. While Phyllis genuinely believes that this profound intimacy cements their future and solidifies Matt's devotion to her, Matt's internal landscape remains a labyrinth of calculated manipulation and unresolved obsession. The removal of the ankle monitor does not signify his desire to escape Genoa City and build a peaceful life with Phyllis. Rather, it provides him with the unrestricted mobility he desperately requires to execute his own hidden agenda. Matt's decision to remain firmly planted in Genoa City is driven by a toxic, compulsive need for absolution from the ghosts of his past, specifically his lingering, dangerous fixation on his former victim, Sienna Bacall. He happily accepts Phyllis's fierce protection and passionate devotion, utilizing her formidable resources and blinding jealousy as a convenient, impenetrable shield against his numerous enemies. As they lie entangled in the quiet aftermath of their celebration, the stark contrast between Phyllis's desperate vulnerability and Matt's cold, predatory calculation paints a terrifying picture of a woman unknowingly sleeping beside a ticking time bomb. She has traded the love of her family for the hollow promises of a master manipulator, setting herself up for a devastating emotional slaughter when the inevitable truth of his nocturnal wanderings finally comes to light. Across town, a vastly different but equally agonizing emotional war is being waged within the suffocating confines of Lily Winter's temporary sanctuary. The toxic residue of Jill Abbott's catastrophic secret continues to poison the air, transforming Lily's once comforting reunion with Kane Ashby into a grotesque psychological nightmare. The horrifying revelation that Kane is the biological brother of Billy Abbott, a man Lily also deeply loved and shared a profound history with, has fractured the very foundation of her reality. When Kane desperately arrives at her door, the ensuing encounter is a chaotic collision of lingering physical desire and overwhelming visceral revulsion. They succumb to a fleeting, desperate moment of physical intimacy, driven by the sheer exhaustion of their shared grief and the phantom muscle memory of a love that has been fundamentally tainted by a cruel twist of genetic fate. However, the immediate aftermath of their physical surrender is completely devoid of warmth, replaced instead by a chilling, unbridgeable emotional chasm. Lily rapidly withdraws, wrapping herself in an impenetrable armor of psychological detachment to survive the agonizing reality of what they have just done. She systematically dismantles any fragile illusions Kane might harbor regarding the significance of their encounter, articulating an unyielding, absolute set of parameters that dictate the severe limitations of their future. She makes it unequivocally clear that the structural integrity of their romantic history has been irreparably shattered, and that this momentary lapse in judgment does not, under any circumstances, signify an official reconciliation or a return to the safety of their past dynamic. Kane's reaction to these draconian emotional boundaries is a tragic testament to his profound, agonizing devastation. He stands before the woman he considers the absolute love of his life, entirely stripped of his pride, his identity, and his sense of belonging. The shocking revelation of his true parentage has left him adrift, an unwanted interloper in the bitter Abbott legacy, entirely dependent on Lily's fragile mercy to maintain his grip on sanity. He absorbs her harsh, uncompromising conditions without a single word of protest, his silence echoing the pathetic desperation of a man willing to survive on the absolute barest of emotional scraps. He accepts his subjugation, silently agreeing to inhabit the painful, purgatorial space she has designated for him, terrified that pushing back will result in her permanent, irreversible disappearance from his shattered life. The psychological weight of the broader Chancellor Abbott crisis presses down upon them with suffocating force, ensuring that the shadows of Jill and Billy are constant, uninvited spectators in their tragedy. Every time Lily looks into Kane's desperate eyes, she is violently reminded of the profound betrayal orchestrated by his newly discovered mother and the volatile, destructive rage currently consuming his biological brother. Kane's willing acceptance of this emotional starvation is a direct manifestation of his overwhelming, paralyzing guilt. He feels entirely responsible for dragging Lily into the toxic epicenter of his family's radioactive fallout, and his submission to her cold boundaries is his tragic, misguided attempt to offer her the control she was so violently robbed of. Meanwhile, in a quieter corner of the city, a profound and unexpected connection is slowly taking root amidst the collateral damage of another volatile relationship. Daniel Romalotti, carrying the heavy, exhausting burden of his mother's descent into madness and his own historical traumas, observes Abby Newman from a distance. He astutely notices the subtle, unmistakable signs of severe emotional fatigue etched into the tense set of her shoulders and the guarded, hollow look in her eyes. The chaotic environment of Genoa City rarely affords its residents the luxury of genuine, unmotivated empathy. But Daniel recognizes a kindred spirit drowning in the silent, suffocating waters of a turbulent domestic life. Approaching Abby with a gentle, entirely non-judgmental demeanor, Daniel carefully breaches the invisible fortress she has erected around her crumbling. He communicates a deep, unspoken understanding of her current suffering, offering a lifeline of platonic solidarity that demands absolutely nothing. He makes it known that he perceives the heavy burden she is carrying and extends a sincere invitation for her to accept him as a safe harbor, a trusted confidant who is entirely removed from the complex, interwoven loyalties of her immediate family circle. This quiet, profound gesture of pure friendship catches Abby off guard, piercing through the thick layer of defensive stoicism she has relied upon to navigate her increasingly unstable reality. The root of Abby's silent, agonizing struggle is intrinsically tied to the escalating, unpredictable anger management issues plaguing her partner, Devin Hamilton. She has been living in a constant, terrifying state of hypervigilance, meticulously monitoring his shifting moods and walking on fragile eggshells to avoid triggering his explosive temper. Daniel possesses a uniquely profound understanding of this specific, suffocating dynamic, drawing heavily from his own turbulent past and his historical battles with emotional regulation. He sees the terrifying echoes of his former destructive self in Devin's volatile patterns, and he deeply comprehends the severe psychological toll it extracts from the person desperately trying to hold the family. This budding, therapeutic connection provides Abby with a desperate, much-needed sanctuary, a rare space where she is not required to manage a crisis, defend a legacy, or placate an unpredictable partner. Daniel's empathetic presence offers her the vital validation she has been starved of, allowing her to acknowledge the severity of her domestic situation without the fear of judgment or immediate catastrophic intervention. Conversely, this pure, uncomplicated friendship provides Daniel with a profound sense of purpose and grounding, serving as a vital emotional counterweight to the helpless, agonizing alienation he experiences while watching his mother Phyllis willingly walk into the manipulative jaws of Matt Clark. As the week draws to a close, the fragile, transparent illusions sustaining these deeply wounded characters are stretched to their absolute terrifying. Phyllis dances blindly on the edge of a catastrophic precipice, entirely unaware that the monster she just unshackled is already plotting his return to the shadows of his past obsession. Kane hopelessly clings to the bitter, poisoned ashes of a shattered romance, willing to sacrifice his remaining dignity for the mere illusion of Lily's presence. And as Abby secretly seeks refuge in the comforting understanding of a new ally, the volatile storm brewing within Devin threatens to violently breach the walls of their home. With buried secrets simmering just below the surface and unchecked obsessions demanding to be fed, how long can these desperate souls maintain their precarious balance before the inevitable, devastating shockwave reduces their meticulously constructed lives to absolute rubble?